It's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Arnab Goswami on the debate at 10, powered by Century Pro Wood and Panasonic.
Ladies and gentlemen, the usual suspects, ladies and gentlemen, are all going to the Supreme Court to directly or indirectly question the ban on the BBC documentary. And they say this is unconstitutional and arbitrary. Ladies and gentlemen, essentially what is happening is some people want to extend this issue to strengthen the BBC. Now, instead of moving the Supreme Court, my view is this. These people, the usual suspects who have moved the Supreme Court to allow the peddling of a BBC propaganda narrative, they should have actually read the Supreme Court verdict in the Gujarat riots case before they did that. Let's debate.
While Indians in the UK are protesting the propaganda documentary, the usual suspects are obsessing over British propaganda on campuses. Now in the courts,
hitting out to those who moved the Supreme Court challenging the centre's decision to block a BBC documentary, Law Minister Kiren Rijiju had held that the petitioners who are responsible for wasting the precious time of the apex court when they file such petitions before the top court. In fact, this is an attempt to misuse the powers that are given in the petitions in the Supreme Court that are filed to create a paranoia by politically motivated parties. As the Supreme Court is going to hear the matter on the 6th of Feb, what also has to be seen is this is a concerted effort by the lobby to attack the government by filing motivated petitions in the top court.
the Law Minister of India has come down heavily on the motivated lobby, saying that it wastes the precious time of the Honourable Supreme Court.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ये केस उनके सामने आया है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने खुद ने उसकी सुनवाई लेने की बात कही है, तो उससे स्पष्ट हो जाता है कि लॉ मिनिस्टर हैं कि एक कन्फ्रंटेशनल एटीट्यूड जुडिशरी को लेकर कर रहे हैं, वो दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। ये डिस्क्रिशन सुप्रीम कोर्ट का है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट इन चर्चा पे निर्देश देगी, इन पे डिस्कशन होगा, इस पे सुनवाई होगी और जो भी निर्णय होगा मैं मानती हूँ हर पक्ष को उसको सम्मानपूर्वक अप्लाई करना चाहिए।
The fact is, with over 70,000 cases pending before the Supreme Court, motivated petitions are only burdening the justice system. And the court has called out these usual suspects before in the Rafale case for their fishing and roving inquiry and the Judge Loya case for a meritless petition. The usual suspects must wake up and smell the coffee. Let's debate.
Renu Mittal, do these people have nothing else to do? Usual suspects, usual. Ladies and gentlemen, my hashtag for tonight is usual suspects. You know who I'm talking about. Please freely tell us what you think about the hashtag usual suspects. Please continue, Renu.
It's the right of the people for freedom of speech, freedom of listening, freedom of
You're
talking.
saying the usual suspects represent the people?
India believes
no, I say we represent the people. Now you tell me how do the usual suspects represent the people?
We represent the people.
No, people. Which people are you? Rashmi is on with you on the debate. Rashmi,
Arnab represents, we all
No, so we all do, but the usual suspects don't represent the people.
People have a right to listen and to hear. Don't make it into some kind of a generic thing.
Rashmi is on the debate.
When a small set of people
make
point
politically
is-
motivated
the point
moves
is
time
that,
and again,
people,
then it clearly shows that they do not represent the voice of the rest of the population, because it's
How
the
do you
same
say
set of
it's
people
politically
making
motivated?
similar, because we can see
Unless
the pattern, we can
listen
see
to
people
it,
who've come up
you
all the
realize
time,
what is
and it
going
is
on. How
rather
do you say it's
ironic
politically
that the
motivated?
that the Supreme
cannot
Court
be
is
just a
being
total
made to
government
hear
thing.
a case about a documentary that does not respect the findings of the Supreme Court. I think it's rather ironic that it needs to look at a documentary that does not even respect what the Supreme Court's stand is on the matter. It's very ironical, and usual suspects means people who keep coming up with these things all the time. They do not represent the people of the country. They only represent the politically motivated few, because that's just what they seem to be doing day
Opening
in
up
and day
the debate,
out.
I'm also taking
Regular
in.
people.
I'm also taking in a couple of facts out here, and I want to bring in Waris and Priyanka as well. 70,000 plus cases pending before the Supreme Court, people whose lives are affected, people who continue to wait, people who are in jail, right? And people who have serious cases against them. There are property
Arnab.
disputes. There are 10,000 cases pending before the Supreme Court since 1 decade.
Correct.
And I'm asking you, these are the same people, Priyanka Tibrewal, I'm telling you, let me be very honest tonight. Same people, right?
Correct.
Ladies and, no, 1 minute, I'll just say one thing. Everyone saw. The same
Arnab,
people,
I will
the same
differ a
people,
little. I will differ a little. I will not
Priyanka,
call
1 minute,
them
1 minute. I'll just say one thing, I'll just say one thing. Look at the hypocrisy of these people. I'll take 30 seconds. Where Arnab Goswami is put in jail by the corrupt Uddhav government on a false case, which Justice Chandrachud later himself says is a case which has no prima facie basis. When a case is reopened without basis, when he's moved from one jail to the other, and when he, going through due process, goes to the High Court, gets rejected for a hearing twice, takes the matter up to the Supreme Court, goes through the process and gets bail, and later the court says, but there was no case here of 306 at all, there was no prima facie case. Then these usual suspects, you know what they say then? They say, oh my God, Arnab Goswami is getting special treatment before the Supreme Court of India. These same people, these same, ladies and gentlemen, hashtag usual suspects. Now the usual suspects get a hearing over a non-issue. Now, of course, the Supreme Court is in its right and wisdom. I bow to the wisdom of the Supreme Court, but I think, I agree, this is just an attempt at wasting time. And I just said that, you know why I said that, Lokesh? To expose the hypocrisy of the usual suspects. Because the time has come to take their masks off. Right? To take their masks off. And please enjoy as I take their masks off for the next half an hour. Yes, Waris, complain. Complain, Waris, because that's all you can do. Complain, Waris. Complain, Waris.
First and foremost, Kiren Rijiju is a law minister, but is himself ignorant about law and the fundamental rights which are guaranteed to the individual in the constitution. Every individual in the country has a right to move the apex court, file a PIL.
Correct.
If he feels and is aggrieved by any decision of the central government or any other body. They have moved it. And it's for the Supreme Court to decide whether it is a time consuming or whether it does not have any merit. And the Supreme Court has a right to reject it. But why should Kiren Rijiju come in? Why should he become the judge of the Honorable Supreme Court? Who is he to decide? Let the Supreme Court decide. And why you want to hide? Why you want to take away the freedom of choice of Waris Pathan? I want to watch BBC documentary. Why is Arnab stopping me? Why is Modi stopping me from watching that?
No,
the students involved, they want to watch in the campus. Who is Modi to stop them from watching the BBC documentary?
Sit in your house and watch. That doesn't give you the freedom to provoke citizens. That doesn't give you the freedom to instigate students.
Watch a documentary or no? It is my freedom of choice. Is it not against the democratic values of our country?
That there should be any kind of instigation in colleges? Who is Waris Pathan to decide that students should be provoked?
To watch a movie doesn't instigate.
Who is Waris Pathan to
will decide which movie he wants to watch. Waris Pathan will decide which documentary he wants to see. And if Waris Pathan moves an application before the Honorable Supreme Court, and if the Honorable Supreme Court feels that it is time consuming and it does not have merit, the Supreme Court will reject. But why to stop that?
Are we to say I'm on a larger point, on a larger point.
Provision of law.
Waris,
Under what provision of law will you stop me from watching a BBC documentary?
Waris, on a larger point,
under what provision?
Waris, on a larger point, if I may please, if I may please, you see, my issue here, please understand, is not with the fact that the Supreme Court is hearing the case. My issue is, why are you wasting the Supreme Court's time by bringing these frivolous applications before it? Now you can say, oh, but Arnab, it is frivolous for you, it is not for us. I agree. Now listen to me. I am a man with above average, much above average intelligence. Therefore, I sort of get it quick.
It is the
you understand that?
The taxpayer.
You understand that? So you don't have to tell me. My question is, and I'm on a larger point right now. I'm bringing in Saurabh, and I'm bringing in Ajay, and I'm bringing in Manasvi, and I'm bringing back Renu Mittal. My question is, there is the executive, there's a judiciary.
If you have brought
every aspect of the judiciary is now. You 1 minute. Let me put my argument. Renu.
Can you prevent me from
intolerance?
What is this I'm facing? They don't let me talk.
When the UK High Court was approached for this case.
No, Saurabh, first of all, look at the intolerance.
There is no evidence. So what happened was that the intelligence agencies formed a document.
Can you allow
this first time
no, Renu, she is not allowing anyone to speak. This is the intolerance of the law.
The moot has been documented. Earlier there was no documents on this. Now for the first time there is a documentation on this.
Because I tell you what is there behind this.
Between earlier cases and this
India
case.
embarks on a development agenda, there is a pattern of some people, some vested interests who want to make sure they undermine India's development agenda. Their problem is with the strong leadership in the country. See, the problem is, why is that a certain documentary comes at this time? When Honorable Supreme Court has already ruled and given a verdict in this matter. And why is that some people are trying to undermine the Honorable Court's time? Because they want to hijack the agenda. The agenda is to malign the country. The agenda is to malign the nation. That's the agenda. That's a larger agenda. We should all be calling out. Renu and Manasvi, you both are sensible people. You should be calling out. Nobody is undermining the fundamental rights of the people. That's supreme. But the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court, will have to realize that there are pressing agendas and pressing cases which are there, which the people want attention to. These cases are being put on, and this documentary is a pattern of thought by these usual suspects.
Agreed. Manasvi, before you come in, may I have Ajay also on the left, please? And I want to make a point. Renu, 1 minute. Renu, 1 minute. Renu, please allow others to speak. I'm just trying to get them in. Can I make a point out here? You see, these #usual suspects, they have moved the Supreme Court to allow the peddling of a BBC propaganda narrative. They've used different instruments. My tweet is not allowed. This is not allowed. There are this reasons, that reason, this legal issue, that legal issue. First of all, I believe application of the mind is not the prerogative of any one arm. Application of mind is also the right of the executive. And if we take away the application of mind from the executive, we must appreciate, Ajay, and I'm bringing you in, that a democratically elected government of a democracy, duly elected through an electoral process, has the right to apply its mind and say, this is right and that is wrong. Therefore, things like intelligence inputs are used when licenses are given to TV channels. You can't give tomorrow Dawood Ibrahim a license to run a news channel in this country. Tomorrow you will say Dawood Ibrahim should have equal rights. Let's not be ridiculous. In this particular case, and I go to Ajay here, the Supreme Court has already put out a verdict on the SIT probe in the Gujarat riots case, which has pulled up the activist petitioners for trying to, quote unquote, keep the pot boiling for ulterior design. So you want to keep the Gujarat riots pot boiling? That is my accusation. Ajay is on the debate. Ajay Alok. Ajay Alok, your name is not Ajay Alok. Ajay Alok, please. Ajay Alok.
You have to understand, Arnab, you have to understand the big plot. Here is a systematic plan by our so-called Modi haters to prepare this documentary. The name is only the BBC. The main producer, Mr. Dhaliwal and Ms. Sadhna Subramaniam, they used to work for Al Jazeera. The interviewer, Surbhi Tandon, who is interviewing in the documentary, she also works for Al Jazeera. They have been known sympathizers for terrorists, not in Syria but elsewhere also. And they were properly funded, and this BBC documentary came up. And second thing.
Ajalo ko complete karne de, let Ajalo complete, Ajalo is being blocked, Ajalo is being heckled, Ajalo is being stopped, Ajalo is not being given his democratic right to speak, and I am allowing him that.
Executive has the full right to ban it. We have banned so many books, so many films in this country, and all of them have been banned by executive, but none have been challenged. Why this has been challenged and by whom it has been challenged? This is also a question of nexus, which needs to be understood. आज रोड पे निकलिए, गांव में पूछो कि मोदी पे डॉक्यूमेंट्री आई है, सब कहेंगे जानबूझ के बीबीसी चला रहा है. It's a narrative. It's a Catholic narrative. It's a Catholic and pro-Islamic narrative which is being played here. Don't talk absurd. This is crystal clear. It's a Catholic, Islamic, and it's a Naxal narrative.
What about our democratic rights, Arnab?
On the debate tonight, Ajalo.
It is being pushed through by the Indians. There is no question of democratic right here. Everything you put some democracy. BBC is not an Indian constituent. BBC is not an Indian constituent that you have a democratic right. If Andhi was banned, where was your democratic right then in 1975?
We have to just listen to Ajay.
Andhi was banned, where was your democratic right? I would like to ask you.
Arnab, do we have a right to respond?
Andhi was banned, where was your democratic right? Why did you shout your democratic right then? Satnik versus was banned in India, where was your democratic right? Why did you shout then?
We have foreign media.
Da Vinci Code was banned in India. Where was your democratic right then? It's an executive right to ban this.
We have the duty to listen to him.
telling us what is happening in India.
Arnab, do we have the right to respond? Do we have the right to reply? Do we have the right to respond? Do we have the right to speak, or we just have to listen to Ajay Alok?
And defame the Prime Minister?
We have to just listen to Ajay Alok.
Is there democracy?
Arnab, can I please come in?
Yeah, go on, Manasvi. Why are you complaining? Yeah, please.
Arnab, do we have the right to respond to Ajay Alok?
Yeah, you have a right to attack Ajay Alok. You have a right to verbally attack him. You can try to intimidate him. You can try to push him. What do you want to do? Why do you keep complaining that there is no democracy in this country? There is democracy. Don't play the victim number on me. No, Saurabh, we are too smart now. ये विक्टिम नंबर मत प्ले करो. विक्टिम हमको बोलने नहीं दिया जा रहा है. हमारी डेमोक्रेटिक राइट नहीं है. अरे भाई, जो व्यक्ति बैठे वहां पे लाल शर्ट पे, वो 15 और 25 वाली बात करते हैं. जो लाल शर्ट में वहां पे बैठे हुए हैं, वो 15 और 25 बोलने वाले वारिस पठान है. उनको पूछिए डेमोक्रेटिक राइट है कि नहीं है. पूछिए उनको कि 15 और 25 वाली बात कही थी. कौन 15 और कौन 25? आस्क हिम टुनाइट. आस्क हिम हु इज 15 एंड हु इज 25.
ले लिया जा रहा है. हमारा डेमोक्रेटिक राइट, हमको बीबीसी डॉक्यूमेंटरी देखने का है.
15 और 25 वारिस पठान. दिस इज द मैन हु सेज 15 और 25 और बोल रहे हैं हमारी डेमोक्रेटिक राइट नहीं है इस देश में.
Your democratic right should also respect the larger will of the people, and also the Honorable Supreme Court's verdict. Won't you agree that there are more pressing issues in this country?
Well, I also have my democratic rights.
Patan Saab said that you don't agree that there are no other pressing issues in this country.
He does not have the guts to ban Gandhi in Godse. Godse was the first terrorist of our country.
You are diverting the real issue.
Mahatma Gandhi. Why is moving?
The real issue, Patan Saab, you are diverting today. Because you don't have any argument.
Coming forward and asking for a boycott of Godse. This is the hypocrisy. This is the hypocrisy which I want to expose.
Godse was hanged by this constitution, by this country.
Why should our students want to watch the BBC documentary in the campus? How is Modi to stop that?
Suppose. Okay, one minute.
Who students?
One minute.
Who students?
Just 1 minute. Our students, what do you mean by our students? Who is our and your? Who is our and your? Rashmi, explain to Rashmi. She was a student till 2 years back. She was a student till 2 years back. You have been a student 27 years back. So I am asking Rashmi. She was a student 2 years back. You were a bad student 3 decades back. Now, Rashmi, you tell me, देखिए what he's doing. My students, their students. Which students?
Lawyer now.
Suppose I say today, 99% of students are against the documentary. Do their views not matter?
They want to watch BBC documentary. But your
I
friend
don't want to
Modi
watch
wants to
it.
stop-
99% of us don't want to watch it.
They want to
we don't
suppress
want to
the
watch
facts
a
and the truth.
documentary that
Let the country
undermines
know
the
the truth.
judiciary of this
Let the
particular
fact come
country.
before the nation.
I don't want to watch something that is
Why?
funded by
The
British
fact
public
remains
funds.
Modi was the
I don't want to
Minister of
watch
Gujarat
something
in
that is
2002.
funded by the public funds of a
how can
country
you forget
who was a
that?
colonial master.
How can you forget the truth that Bilkis Banu
How
was
can you forget
raped?
that BBC is
Bilkis Banu's
funded by
mother was
British public
raped.
funds and
Bilkis
British
Banu's sister
people
was raped
colonized
and
India?
murdered.
How can you
And
take in garbage which they produce and undermine the very judgment of the Supreme Court of this country?
No, let me further ask a question. Let me further ask a question. Remember one thing, law
Why
does
should
not
we not
exist
watch
in a
that
vacuum.
movie?
1 minute. Waris, I want to make a statement. The law does not exist in a
Yes, that is
vacuum.
what I want to
The
say.
law serves the purpose of order and law and order in society. Let me present my argument. Please don't shout. Please don't interrupt. For
Then
we
let
are
the Supreme Court
all
decide.
very well aware and educated people, I hope. My assertion is this, Saurabh. The law is
No.
not in a vacuum. The
You
law
are ignorant about law.
I'll teach you,
You
the
are
law
ignorant
inside
about
out.
law.
Yeah, don't talk
Constitutional
like
rights.
that. Don't talk
are
like
ignorant.
that. What do you know about the precedent of law
how
in
much
this
do
case?
you know about
no,
it, sir?
Priyanka,
A decade and a half, Supreme
no,
Court deliberated on this matter.
Priyanka, he has
So what
challenged
let
me
the
on the
Supreme
law.
Court decide?
He has
Are you the
challenged me on the
Supreme Court
law.
Are you the Supreme Court judge to decide the matter in your studio?
That is what I'm saying. Supreme Court has
Did I say I'm a
deliberated
judge?
a decade and a half on this matter. Not just that, there was a written petition. There was a written petition. Thereafter, they say that the highest court of the country, the judgment given by the highest court of the country doesn't matter to them. But the documentary matters. But even then, because there is freedom of speech and expression in the country, no one stops him from watching the movie.
No,
The movie wasn't banned.
Priyanka,
The movie wasn't banned. It is not that you can sit at home and watch. But who
Priyanka,
gives
1
him
minute.
the
Priyanka, I
right
want to present an
to spread
argument,
hatred?
and both sides will have to be quiet for me to present it, please. Let me please present an argument. Waris, please just don't speak for 2 minutes. They are saying that it is our right. I have my right, Saurabh has his right. I have my right to report, but I cannot put out the wrong map of India. Saurabh cannot. If Saurabh puts out the wrong map of India, he will be taken to court, he can be put in jail. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? Anyway, you are the party that wanted me in jail, no,
Yes.
Lokesh? Huh?
Then why
Arnab
did
is a
you allow the
violator of
Kashmiri
Official
files to be
Secrets Act, you
streamed?
liars. Now
Why
listen
did
to
you
me.
allow Kashmiri
Now
files?
listen to me. Now
The
listen to
tourist
me.
in Goa
Listen
said
to
it
me,
was a
yaar. Listen to
propaganda
me.
film.
Listen to me. Listen to me, Waris. I'll tell you one thing. Please understand out here, we are simply talking about the past. And I am saying that in the case of Rafael, for example, the Supreme Court dismissed the review petitions with a bench which consisted of the then CJI and said that these review petitions are without merit. This lobby is wasting my country's time and my resources. It has filed a paper. Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
How can you forget what happened
wasting my time?
How can you forget what happened to Bilkis Banu?
On genocide in
How can you forget that?
The case of Bilkis Banu has gone, and if necessary, we'll go 1,000 times through the legal process. And we'll bow down to whatever the legal process agrees with. Don't you remind me of Bilkis Banu, for I took a position against it.
Let the Supreme Court decide.
Who was the CBI chief during
No.
Congress? Not during BJP.
What about Ehsan Jafri? Who was
Even then, after that, decade and a half gone. And you come again. What about the resources?
Priyanka, please, I did not get to make my point. Priyanka, my point is okay.
So many people
Bhai,
talking
this
at
is
the
too
same
much.
time.
I'm just going to walk off the show if you continue like this. If you just be quiet for a minute, I'll make my point. I am just trying to make a simple point. Okay, I will not tell you why you filed a petition against the national emblem. You filed a petition on Rafael. You filed a petition on Central Vista. You filed a petition on this, on that. Now you're filing a petition on the BBC documentary. Acha, okay, you are high-profile people. You quote-unquote usual suspects. Okay, the court is giving you a hearing. No problem. But what I'm saying to you is that in my country, there is an election every 5 years, Saurabh. Come to the moot point, Ajay. Every 5 years there is an election. And after the largest election in the world, a government is formed. The job of the elected government is to maintain law and order. Now, if the government feels that this particular thing which is happening, whether it's documentary or everyone else, anything else, right, is a threat to law and order, or if Saurabh is doing something with a threat to law and order, right? In any case, Saurabh, people like you and me have 1,000 cases under 153 put against us. If we report today that some politician is trying to create a riot, a case is filed against you and me. saying that you are trying to cause a riot by reporting on a riot, where I am saying the government says this particular quote-unquote documentary or propaganda can cause divide in my society. I think it is the right of the executive to exercise its own judgment on the matter. And if you are saying today that the executive has no right to apply its mind, then please redefine the role of the executive in the world's largest democracy. Please redefine the role of the executive. Let it be said that the executive is forever subservient. How can you do that?
Purely on
please
legal
understand.
argument, every government
they want
across
the ban
the globe,
and not to ban.
every government across
You don't want the executive to have any role in this country.
No, they want the ban and not to ban according to their whims and fancies.
One at a time. Ajay first.
In India, states exercise
Arnab, the problem is they want to have the ban according to their own whims and fancy. They want to ban Kashmir files because they won't want the world to know the tortures of Hindus. Don't want the ban on Narendra Modi because they want to portray him as anti-Muslim and one who is disturbing India.
And who are
These are ultra-urban Naxals who have the audacity to go at the mid of the night for a Supreme Court judge for release of someone who's involved in a terrorist activity. These are again the same people, same set of people. And who went to a Supreme Court judge's house at night, 12 o'clock.
No.
And Modi did
These are ultra-urban Naxals. Dangerous to country.
Ajay, 1 minute. Ajay, 1 minute.
And who did the propaganda for Kashmir files? You did the propaganda for Kashmir files. Did you at that relevant time
what propaganda did I do? What propaganda did I do on Republic? I don't do propaganda. What Republic? What propaganda did I do?
You said that.
What? You are a shameless liar. You're a shameless liar. You're a shameless liar, Waris. You're a 25 and 15 man. That's the language you used to provoke people during Shaheen Bagh when you realized you need to polarize the country more on religious lines. And I fought you and your boss Asaduddin Owaisi then, and I will fight you forever on issues like that. Don't lie.
There is something which you don't want the people of the country to know. But truth will surface. Truth never dies.
Yeah.
You want the people of the country to know something which is there. Let the country know. Let me watch the film.
They want to say that the Supreme Court has hidden the truth.
He's not attacking
They
the
want
Supreme
to say that Supreme Court has hidden the truth. This amounts to contempt of court. This amounts to contempt of court.
Let Modi allow the
this amounts to contempt of court. They say what if Pathan is saying that truth will surface. That means Supreme Court has hidden the truth.
Our fundamental
that means Supreme Court has hidden the truth.
Please,
now you're doing contempt of court.
Country, sir.
This is democracy. This is democracy. You can do contempt of court and this is democracy. Which fundamental right is this?
Priyanka is on the debate right now. Priyanka and Renu. Priyanka is taking on Priyanka.
I am well on contempt. I faced many. I am
speaks of freedom of speech, but has no respect for the constitution, has no respect for the judiciary. He is challenging. He's challenging the judgment of the Supreme Court. That is what he's trying to say. That something was hidden. That means he's trying to say that Supreme Court did not bring out the truth. So he means that the curative petition, the review petition, everything was a waste. The judgment of the Supreme Court was a waste, and he does not believe in it. Now let me also tell him that according to section 69A
Renu is on the debate.
of the Information
Renu
and
is on the
Technology
debate.
Act,
Renu.
of the Information and Technology Act, Mr. Pathan, listen.
Renu, 1 minute. Renu, 1 minute. Priyanka, 1 minute. The point being, this is not a question of whether the Supreme Court, if the Supreme Court has a sort of a very liberal approach on the whole matter, can say, no, it's okay, let people criticize, let do this, let the tweets come back, etc. But the point that I want to make is this, that in the eyes of the law, you cannot discriminate between a Prashant Bhushan and XYZ. If Prashant Bhushan says, I should be allowed to tweet, I should be allowed to put out the documentary and disseminate the facts about a documentary which is being duly banned to a larger audience, then Prashant Bhushan, if I'm saying, or Enram, or anyone for that matter is saying that, then tomorrow Prashant Bhushan and Enram must realize they are no different in terms of their legal rights from any other citizen, right, Rashmi? And therefore, it will be wrong and presumptuous of anyone to go before the Supreme Court and go and say that I have my rights which are preserved, because one person can say, I am coming from a good perspective, I don't want to create law and order, I am not a rioteer, but there may be thousands of other people who may take cover of such statements made to do what is very inimical to our society. So this is not even a case of the Supreme Court order. But Renu, don't you ever feel out here, do you need me to quote to you the kind of embarrassment that the Supreme Court order in its verdict on the Gujarat riots said? Do you remember what was said out there by the bench? I think it was led by Justice A.M. Khanwalkar, who upheld the closure report which had been filed by the Supreme Court appointed SIT in Ms. Jaffrey's complaint in February 2012. Do you remember the 452-page verdict? Do you remember the snub to your friend Tista Setalwad? Do you remember the snub to your friend Tista Setalwad? Do you remember? Do you remember? No, you don't remember. I'll remind you.
There are courts and there are courts.
Courts and
there
courts?
are judges and there are judges.
What do you mean by that?
You cannot expect.
No, there is only one court. There is a Supreme Court. What do you mean there are judges and judges? All judges. You are trying to discriminate between judges on what basis?
The whole process has been biased from beginning to end.
The process of the Supreme Court has been biased. Wow, watch your words. Watch your words, Saurabh. Did you hear that, Saurabh?
Should be heard.
Now openly alleging bias of the Supreme Court on my show. I condemn that and I will purge it later from my program.
You cannot be questioning the apex court of this country, which in all its wisdom, which actually takes, I'll tell you what, Renu, this is something, we have a certain respect for judiciary. We respect our democratic institutions, and whatever the judgment happens, it is based on the facts presented. You cannot be questioning the wisdom of the apex court of the country, for God's sake. This is a symbol of India's democracy, a vibrant democracy. It has a free judiciary, and our apex court time and again has proved that by successive judgment. You cannot be questioning the apex courts of this country, because that's undermining India's democracy. You are questioning India's democratic credentials when you question the verdict and the wisdom of the Supreme Court.
I want to Lokesh,
you are questioning the wisdom of the Supreme Court of India.
Why are you denying new evidence to be brought into the light of the Supreme Court?
In India's democracy.
Why are you so much shaky? Why are you so much? Why are you panicking so much? Why does it matter to you if new facts are being brought to light?
So new facts.
Why don't you want new facts to be brought to light?
The facts are settled by the Supreme Court.
If you are right, then you can.
No, 1 minute, one at a time. Audio control, please. One second. Lokesh, you say here tonight. 1 minute. Lokesh, and I'm getting Lokesh and Ajay. Let's move fast. Lokesh, you say here tonight. Allow me to complete. That new facts are being brought to light. Okay. First of all, I believe in the Supreme Court. I don't believe in the boring Broadcasting Corporation, which is nothing but a colonial endeavor. Okay, I believe in the Supreme Court of India. Second, I do believe, and I as a citizen of India have reason to suspect that there is a conspiracy in this country, outside this country, to create religious divide in this country. And I believe the government is right in its wisdom to intervene preemptively in this matter. I believe the government is completely correct in its wisdom to act preemptively in this matter, period.
No, there is a political party which is hatching a conspiracy.
Government should act very tough on this.
Is enough?
Government should act tough on this and rather ban BBC in India.
Government should be tougher.
And rather ban BBC in India for circulating all the kind of fake news. They have been doing it for the last 30 years. BBC has never been kind to India. Whether it has been Congress or whether it has been United Front or whether it has been BJP. BBC has always been unkind to India. Don't be supporter of bullshit Broadcasting Corporation. Go and see in the history. Go and look into the history. BBC has never been kind and good to India.
To preserve the social fabric of the country, it could have acted on
just because of your vested interest. You can pick up anything.
No vested interest.
Okay, I'll tell you.
You love New York Times.
I'll tell you 1 minute.
But you don't love the country.
Lokesh, 1 minute. Lokesh,
you love New York Times. You love Al Jazeera.
No. Ajay, let me counter this with fact, please. 1 minute. Lokesh, let me counter this with fact. Just give me a minute. I know.
You don't love your country.
Okay,
that's for sure.
I'll say one thing.
I don't need a certificate from you.
Can you go both guys? Can you chill on both sides?
You prove with your words.
Can you chill on both sides, please? Can you just chill for a moment? 1 second. See, I'll tell you, there is a conspiracy against my country, which is why the Supreme Court, while snubbing Tista Setalwad, said, quote, "These are protagonists of the quest for justice, sitting in a comfortable environment in their air-conditioned office." 1 minute. They may succeed in connecting failures of the state administration at different levels during such a horrendous situation, little knowing or even referring to the ground realities and the continual effort please note, and the continual effort put in by the duty holders in controlling the spontaneous evolving situation unfolding aftermath mass violence across the state. So this is what has been said by the Supreme Court bench. And the Supreme Court bench has very clearly said there is no conspiracy in the 2002 Gujarat riots. And it has said if there is a failure of certain officials, it cannot be inferred, Rashmi, as a state-sponsored violence against the minority community. This is the Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court has said this, I would say we must warn the boring broadcasting corporation against trying to create communal disharmony in our country.
No, let the government counter every fact bit by bit that is brought out in the light by the documentary.
Lokesh, listen. Anyway, I wanted to tell you my sympathies for the washout of your Bharat Todo Yatra, you know. It was a real washout, I'm told today.
Is successful.
It was a real washout today, I'm told.
Begun.
Okay,
the
ladies and gentlemen, absolutely blasphemous some of the things which are being said here.
The Hindenburg report
okay,
also.
and viewers, we are tracking this. We're tracking this, and let's see what happens in this case.